Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
Nick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
Happy game day, Syracuse basketball fans. Giovanni Heater alongside Samantha Croston with you, getting you set and ready for a Saturday matinee all the way up in the 4-1-2. Syracuse on the road for the second consecutive ACC game. They take on the Pittsburgh Panthers today from the Peterson Event Center in downtown Pittsburgh. Samantha, looking forward to a fun one today. Syracuse coming off the heels of a nice road win by double digits against Georgia Tech earlier this week. They're 1-1 in ACC play, trying to get above 500 in conference.
I mean, listen, you mentioned this on the last show we did together on Saturday. This is going to be a gauntlet schedule for this team come February. It is extremely important that they are able to stack wins now. You said it. They're behind the eight ball, so there's going to be a few games that they have to win that they probably shouldn't win. To me, this strikes me as Syracuse should win this game, and they have to if they want to be a tournament team.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. By the way, welcome.
Thanks
First
so much
appearance for Sam Croston, so we're excited to have you. Looking forward to having you along the way for some pregame, some postgame throughout the regular season here for Syracuse basketball, maybe into postseason play as well. Fingers crossed on postseason play. That's what we're trying to strive towards. This is a team on a 4-year drought with the NCAA tournament, and the pressure's on to get back there.
We need it. I think Syracuse fans need it. Syracuse as a city needs it. It's too cold here to not have some playoff basketball as far as I'm concerned. No, I think that a lot of fans aren't used to what we've seen. Let's be honest about it from the past few years for the Syracuse men's basketball team. If you've been in this community for a while, you know that Syracuse is an NCAA tournament team, and that's what people expect. I think that this year's team, quite honestly, has the talent to be that team, but it's a matter of whether or not they're able to A, win the games that they should win, and B, pull out a couple games in February too.
Yeah, one thing that I've been talking about with just about anybody that I think is so prominent is how unfortunate it is that Donnie Freeman goes out when he does just a couple of games into the regular season. You miss him for the majority of the non-conference portion of the schedule. You don't get him back until the ACC opener on New Year's Eve against Clemson, and you just kind of have to sit there and think, what if, right? If Donnie Freeman doesn't get hurt, plain and simple, I believe he's the best player on this team, you probably don't lose to Hofstra, which is that game that has gotten you behind the eight ball. You might be able to snag one out in Las Vegas instead of a 0-3 trip in the Players Era Festival out there in the Sin City. And you go to overtime with the third-ranked team in the country at the time, Houston, in a game where you miss 17 free throws, allow 17 offensive rebounds. Those are two serious strengths of a player like Donnie Freeman, who's also your leading scorer. You have to think you got a real good shot at winning that game, right? So it's hard not to sit here and think what could have been if Donnie Freeman never gets banged up, but I think they're glad to have him back.
I try not to live in the what-ifs, but I know what you mean. I mean, you look at even the last game. Donnie Freeman had career-high 27 points, 9 of 18 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, but it's more than just that. He's a good shooter. I think having him in the mid-post allows for better spacing. He can step out and shoot. He can shoot the three ball. That means it's better driving lanes for some of the guards. You saw the way that the offense was completely and utterly changed by having Donnie Freeman back. But I want to throw one thing back at you that I also thought was interesting. As good of a player as Freeman is, and of course Syracuse needed those 27 points, I almost felt that the other players around him seemed a little bit confused and off balance at times, almost as if they have to get used to having Donnie Freeman back in the lineup. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, no, and it's a fair point because it was a reason that I was hoping he would come back somewhere around the 22nd, I want to say it was, when they played Stonehill, and then they played Northeastern 2 days before on the 20th of December. Would have been nice to have him back in the mix for those two kind of tune-up, end of the non-conference schedule games. That way you could hit the ground running into ACC play, because I think you're right. They've played now 2 games with Donnie Freeman back. This will be the third with Freeman back in the rotation for the Orange since coming back from the injury. And they are still trying to get everything down. But that being said, if he's going to go out and score 27, I think you're going to take it every day of the week. It seems very evident, Sam, that before Donnie Freeman returned, this was an offense that didn't really have an individual to run through. At times, I think they tried to have J.J. Starling be that guy, have Nathan George facilitate, and just kind of see who had the hot hand game in and game out. There were moments where Nate Kings flashed, like that Tennessee game. Now that Donnie is back in the mix, it's pretty clear that the offense has to run through him.
No doubt about it. He has to be one of the leaders on this team for no other reason than he is one of, if not the most talented players on this team. When we were watching the game against Georgia Tech together, something that stuck out to me was that, and I think many fans would agree, that was one of, if not the best game of offensive basketball that they've played. I'll say the first half. It was one of the best halves of basketball that I've seen from them, that first half. A part of the reason why, in my opinion, is because they were utilizing that push the pace style. I don't think this team plays very well in the half court, to be honest with you. I think this is a team that has to capitalize on turnovers, that has to capitalize on their raw athleticism and talent, and has to move the ball down the court quickly. I thought Donnie Freeman did a great job as far as driving, but you're right to say that the offense has to move around him in other ways too. And I think one thing that I'd like to see from Syracuse today is better off-ball movement. They've been a little bit stagnant as far as that area is concerned.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's kind of been a knock on this team, right? The isolation play and guys just kind of trying to take it one-on-one. And to your point, I thought that against Georgia Tech, particularly in the first half, that was their best offensive showing. The ball was actually moving around a little bit more, and they were finding open shots. And there just seemed to be a little bit more of a flow offensively. I said it in the post-game show, and we were talking about it during the game. I thought it was their best offensive performance against a power conference team to that point. Even the Tennessee game, sure, they won the ball game, but they won that game on defense and grit. And to go out on the road in ACC play, drop 82 points, score 44 at the break, you have to feel pretty good about that if you're a Syracuse fan. So definitely excited to see if that trend can continue a little bit today. And Sam, we've talked about it. This is a must-win. These are the games in ACC play. Pitt, an inferior opponent. They come in 7-8 on the year, 0-2 in ACC play, well below Syracuse in the net rankings at 108th in the net compared to Syracuse sitting at 78. You've put yourself in a position with the Hofstra loss, with not winning a game out in Las Vegas, that you can't really slip up. Have to win these games. These are the games that you should win. You're going to be favored in games like this. And then you probably have to catch a couple of those quad one opportunities, your Dukes, your Carolinas, your Louisvilles, Virginia, Miami at this point. Teams like that, NC State, probably going to have to catch a couple of those as well down the home stretch. But again, if you want a shot at the tournament, this is a must-win today.
It's funny because I get conflicted in between thinking about the future and thinking about the past. I'm to the point where I almost never want to hear the word Hofstra again, but we have to talk about it.
Right.
Although I hear Hofstra's playing better as of late.
They keep climbing in the net. Yeah.
Could be a good thing for Syracuse if it ends up being a Q2 loss. But I understand what you mean. I think that this is not only a must-win game, I'd really like to see Syracuse win by 15-plus points. One issue that I've seen is that we talk about how talented this team is. They have clearly taken great teams to the wire. At the same time, we also see what I heard you refer to as dips.
Yeah.
We see these situations where they're not necessarily playing to the level that we know that they can play at throughout the entire game. To me, not only is this a must-win game, you have to prove something to yourself if you are one of those players on that Syracuse team, that you can have a consistent, full game of play. That's what I want to see today.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, right? This is one of those games against Pittsburgh, and you're going to see them like Boston College coming up and a handful of other teams towards the bottom echelon of the ACC, Florida State even coming up on Tuesday night, where you can't really make up any ground. Like winning these games, unless you win them by 20-plus, isn't going to make up a ton of ground for you. Now, Syracuse did jump in the net because Hofstra keeps winning, and Syracuse didn't even play the other night and got a 8-point tick up or whatever exactly it was. They climbed in the net because of what other teams were doing. But again, these wins over a team like Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh, Boston College, Florida State, they can't help you a ton. They can certainly hurt you if you lose them. So that's where you just have to take care of business and make up your ground with those quad one opportunities later on.
And let me clarify something. I don't necessarily mean I want to see a 15-point win for the sake of the net rankings. I want to see it because, for instance, in that Georgia Tech game, how do you let a 20-point lead dwindle down to a 5-point lead? The point is they won, but that's not going to fly against tougher opponents.
Right.
And I think that the way that you practice that and you ensure that that doesn't happen against the opponents that it can't happen against is you take care of some of these weaker opponents and you take care of them the entire way through. Practice your consistency now, because in February, that's going to be something that really matters. You can't have those dips that are happening because of, quite honestly, I think just a lack of either effort or energy, because we know it's not talent. We've seen it.
It feels like, Sam, this is a team that has to go 3-0 in the next 3, I would argue.
Yep.
And then probably win 4 of the next 5 altogether. They got Pittsburgh on the road. This is a quad 2 game for Syracuse, by the way, which is nice. So Pittsburgh, 108th in the net, makes it a quad 2 game for Syracuse on the road. They get Florida State at home in the Dome, who's 115th in the net. That's coming up on Tuesday. Then the following Saturday, so a week from today, they have Boston College on the road in Chestnut Hill. That is a quad 3 game. Boston College, the lowest net ranking in the ACC at 194. And then you have 2 tougher opponents. Virginia Tech, 60th in the net today. They've been so close. They've been very banged up. They have a couple of head-scratching losses in their last 2 against a Wake Forest team on the road, and then a game at home as well, where really felt like they should have won the game, led for most of the game, let it slip at the very tail end there. The one the other night was against Stanford for Virginia Tech, but this is a team that is pictured as an NCAA tournament team at this point by a lot of different metrics. And then you get Miami at home, who's 33rd in the net ranking. They could climb into the top 30. That would make it a quad 1 game for Syracuse. Right now, it's just on the cusp and sits at a quad 2 game. To feel comfortable, to feel like you're in a good spot heading into this gauntlet of NC State, Notre Dame, North Carolina, Virginia, Cal, SMU, Duke, Carolina, Wake, Louisville, Pittsburgh. To feel comfortable going into that, you probably got to win 4 of the next 5. Is that how we feel?
I would have to say I hard agree with that. I agree with you. I think those are, in essence, must-win games because they're behind the 8 ball, like you said, because of Hofstra and whatnot. Here's the other thing, though, that I will point out. Listen, it's something crazy like 8 of the last 10 games are quad 1 opportunities. But I think opportunities is the key word. If Syracuse really wants to compete, if Syracuse wants to be back in that conversation of being squarely in the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to win some of those quad 1 opportunities. So thank God that they do have them. That's not something that I think if you're Syracuse, you should feel fearful about. And in a way, I think you should feel grateful that many of them are coming at the end of the year when you've had time to become a cohesive team. You've had time to adapt and adjust to Donnie Freeman being back in the lineup. In a way, it actually feels like this isn't the worst case scenario for them as far as scheduling is concerned.
It's a loaded sports weekend. We have like 8 days straight of awesome sports, and it all started on Tuesday night with the Syracuse game. You had college basketball on Tuesday night, Syracuse and Georgia Tech. Wednesday, more college basketball across the ACC. Thursday, college football playoff. Friday, college football playoff. Saturday, college basketball and NFL playoffs. Sunday, NFL playoffs. Monday, you got the NFL playoffs some more. Tuesday, we go back at it with Syracuse basketball. It never stops, Sam. This is the best time of the year.
I was going to say it never stops, but that is just the gift that keeps on giving. I know that this is getting a little bit off topic, but I just have to bring it up. And I admit it, I am a bandwagon fan, but I am a bandwagon Indiana fan like you have never seen.
Okay.
I'm a bandwagon Indiana football fan like you have never heard about before. Curt Cignetti, the fact that he's never smiling and he is just taking down these opponents left and right. It seems like nobody has a chance against him in this team. I'm so excited about it, and I can't wait for more.
It's an unbelievable story. It really is. Very, very impressive what they did to Oregon last night. They turned Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta into a crime scene, I think is a fair way to put it. Let's go ahead and talk about today in SU history, brought to you by Ferone & Son Funeral Homes. This day in SU memories, of course, it's time to celebrate your loved ones with the help from Ferone & Son Funeral Home. Or plan ahead for your pre-arrangement today. You can visit them at 1500 Park Street in Syracuse or at FeroneandSonInc.com. All right, Sam, we got a little bit of a fun one today. Try and mix it up with some more recent history, some real old school stuff. How about Jim Boeheim gets his 300th Big East win against Notre Dame on the road? This was back on January 10th, 2005. So the Orange went to South Bend, took care of business against Notre Dame. Syracuse was ranked 6th in the country at that point in time. 70-61, the final score out there. How about some of the names in the mix for that Cuse team? Terrence Roberts, Josh Pace, Hakeem Warwick, Billy Edelin, Jerry McNamara, Craig Forth. Those were the days.
Those were the days, and I think that all Syracuse fans would say that. I'm actually going to turn it back around and tell you something interesting that Jim Boeheim said to me recently.
Okay.
In the past few weeks, Jim Boeheim came on our Orange Zone podcast at CNY Central, and he was talking about this year's team, among some other things. He's a busy guy in his retirement,
Yes.
I must tell you.
He was in Blacksburg the other night doing the Virginia Tech-Stanford game on TV.
Not to mention he's a professor teaching everybody
Yeah.
lessons. He has a lot of things going on.
Right.
He's a great dude. But one thing that he said that I thought was really interesting, just considering how many players he's seen, he said that he thinks not only that William Kyle III is going to be an NBA player, but he thinks that William Kyle III is the hardest working player that he's seen at Syracuse. He legitimately said that. I think that's high praise coming from a guy like him.
I think that is awesome to hear. And he's been so much fun to watch all year long. Kid can jump out of the gym, super talented. He's been a really nice surprise, I think, in the painted area for Syracuse this year. In 2005, Jerry McNamara led the way that day against the Fighting Irish with 22 points. He hit 4 threes in the ball game. Preston Schumpert was in the mix as well. It was a fun team, very fun team back in 2005, and they gave Jim Boeheim his 300th Big East win. That was far from his last. He had plenty more in the tank after that. Let's see. They stopped playing at the Big East in 2013, so 8 more years of winning Big East basketball games for Coach Boeheim after that 300th in 2005. All right, let's take a quick break here on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Syracuse. We are getting you set and ready. It's a Cuse game day. The Orange on the road in Pittsburgh, taking on the Panthers from the Peterson Event Center at the top of the hour. She's Sam Croston. I'm Giovanni Heater. We're back after this on CST and ESPN Syracuse.
Catch the Syracuse basketball.
Sweet.
All right.
Oh, if you want to, so the chat, if you want to see the chat. It's,
Do I want to see the chat?
Yeah, you can if you want. I'm sure they'll ask you questions. But if you can't see this, you can always go to QSportsTalk.com on your laptop. Yeah. Here, let's take a quick. I always do a video, and I just didn't get a chance to do the video. So, do you want to do? Do you want to be in the video?
Sure.
All right, cool. What's going on, Syracuse basketball fans? Happy game day on a Saturday. The Orange on the road playing Pittsburgh at the Peterson Event Center at the top of the hour. She's Sam Croston. I'm Giovanni Heater. We got you covered here on ESPN Syracuse and QSportsTalk.com. Sam, looking forward to a fun one. Cuse trying to get above 500 in ACC play.
Yeah, listen, we're talking about it on the radio show right now, but you have to think that this is a must-win game. Syracuse sort of blew a couple opportunities earlier on in this season, where now they're behind the 8 ball. That Hofstra loss feels like it's a little haunting, a little spooky even now. So we're hoping that this is going to be a game where they can get back on track, have a great offensive performance, and then that will be the standard for the rest of the season.
Must-win game for Syracuse, a team that probably has to win something around 4 of its next 5 to feel comfortable heading into a gauntlet of Quad 1 and Quad 2 opportunities. Come hang out with us, ESPN Syracuse, QSportsTalk.com. Perfect.
All right. How long are the breaks?
4 minutes. 4 minutes.
It's a nice break.
Yeah. It is actually nice. Let's see. What's up, chat? We got a caller on the line. I didn't even see that.
You can take pregame callers?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we can take pregame callers for sure.
How do I actually get to the chat from?
So did you go to QSports.com?
Yep.
Oh, awesome. So just click. It's gonna pop up right here. Yeah, you can only see like after you join, if that
Got
makes
it.
sense.
Okay. I'm joined. I'm here. I'm ready.
Perfect. It says pending.
Okay.
What did Chuck say? Let's get the Gio and Sam show trending and become a regular show.
I'm game, but he's leaving.
I know.
Probably too late to switch that.
A little late. A little too late. That's okay, though.
Remind me. So now there's more focusing on Pitt.
Yeah, we got and I know you got notes, I got notes, and we'll give a little scouting report on the Panthers. Wow, we're getting love on Twitter too.
Love to hear it.
Crazy.
ESPN Radio Syracuse. This is the Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
Happy game day, Syracuse basketball fans. Giovanni Heater alongside Samantha Croston with you in studio here in downtown Syracuse, getting you set and ready for the Orange and the Pittsburgh Panthers on the road in the 4-1-2. Second consecutive road game for Syracuse men's basketball here in ACC play, trying to get up above 500 in conference. 2-1 with a win is where Syracuse would mark in ACC. This is a Syracuse team, though, Samantha, that does feel like it's trending in the right direction here with Donnie Freeman back in the mix, coming off the heels of a nice performance against Clemson in that second half, and then a 27-point outing against Georgia Tech in the win on Tuesday.
They're on the right track, like you mentioned, from an offensive standpoint, from a free throw standpoint, from a Donnie Freeman standpoint, right? We haven't even talked about free throws yet. Right. But the point is they are trending upwards, and still, I think that it would be foolish to overlook an opponent like Pitt. I think once you get into the ACC, anything can happen in ACC play. You got to take those games seriously. Yeah,
100%. Phone lines are open if you want to get in the mix and chime in and chat. 315-437-7644, the number to call as always. And with those phone lines open, let's go right to our man Pat in Syracuse. As always, breaking down his thoughts on Syracuse basketball. Pat, what you got for us today, my friend?
Jordan was surprised I called pregame. I said, Jordan, I know we're not good, but when we were good or we wanted to be good, I used to call pregame. So I decided I'd say hello to Sam and give you my my lukewarm take for the pregame.
Please, we're glad to have you. Jordan's typically up at the Dome because they've been playing so many home games this year, so maybe he's a little out of the mix.
Well, with the lack of a home crowd, they might be better off on the road.
Yeah, right? Fair enough.
That's my first take. No, but seriously, I understand what we're saying. You know, any conference game you have to take seriously, but that goes for any game at all. And I do think there's 2 or 3 teams in the ACC that are really bad and you have no business losing to. And one of those teams is Pitt, and the fact that they're favored by the analytics. People get so confused. Some people get confused about the line. 80% of the line is Ken Pom. 20% or 10% is the perceived value, and 10% is the market flux. So it's really not a big mystery what the line's going to be. And I don't know why people get so confused by it, but that leads to my point. The fact that the analytics would only give us on a neutral site a 3-point advantage against Pitt shows you that we're not good. We are not good. I also wanted to say, even though you're saying that the offense is trending in the right direction, I actually think I understand what you're saying, but I'm still going to disagree, and here's why. The only way this offense is ever going to be trending in the right direction is to outrun its opponents. They are terrible in the half court. They don't shoot the ball well enough. Their sets aren't good enough. So the only way the offense, in my view, will ever be trending in the right direction is if they push the ball. It's way too slow. I mean, when the coaches have to tell the guys to push the ball time and time again, and you still don't see it happen, that's a huge concern. I did not think that was going to be a problem with George, and it is. I also think that the turnovers with George and Kings and JJ are out of hand. And I wanted to get your take on those three versus Cayenne, because I trust the ball with Cayenne over any of those three. What do you think?
I think Cayenne's got to play more minutes, and I know, Pat, we talked about that last time you called in at the tail end of the Georgia Tech game.
It's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you why it's not going to happen, okay? It's not going to happen because our coach is so infatuated with JJ since he was in, I don't know, 6th grade, 7th grade. He's going to die on that hill. He is literally going to die on the hill that he's going to live and die with JJ, period.
Well, that might be the ship that sinks him then.
Oh, it kind of already has. I mean, JJ's the greatest kid. He really is. He's smart. He's charismatic. But I don't know. There's something missing with him. I don't know what it is. It's perplexing. So at any rate, win the game today. Love to win by double digits, but really at this point, just win the damn game.
I'm with you. We appreciate you chiming in, my man.
What you got for me?
Yeah, what you got, Sam?
What does Sam got?
Well, first of all, Pat, I have to say I've really been looking forward to this meeting, and I heard a lot about you, so
Awesome.
I was very excited to meet you.
I'm sure you heard nothing but glorious things.
Yeah, Paulie loves you.
Pat, it was exclusively
No, he
100% good things. I haven't heard a bad word about you since I've been here.
No way. Well, then you absolutely can't be following the infamous what's it called, Twitch chat. I'm most certain that
You don't have friends in the Twitch chat, bro.
That's famous,
That's okay.
infamous. That means that you're well known either way. I think, Pat, I understand what you're talking about when you say Cayenne Anthony and deserving more minutes. Right now, Cayenne Anthony averaging 21.3 minutes per game. JJ Starling is at around 28.8. Listen, I think Starling has certainly...
28.
Yeah, around 28.8, 29? 29.
Thought it was more than that. Okay, that's not bad.
Listen, I think that JJ Starling deserves minutes for no other reason than he is a little bit older and a little bit more mature. I think part of the reason why you've seen in
Does
some
he
way...
play that way, though?
In some way, I would say...
Does he even play that way ever? I
would
don't
say
think he ever plays like a senior, ever.
I understand
Like,
what you
never.
mean, but I would say that I think in some way he is a better assister. I think Cayenne Anthony is the best pure scorer that they have. But at times, because he's younger, he likes to drive more. And we talk about how this offense needs a facilitator. At the same time, I totally admit that against Georgia Tech, I was really, really impressed. 11 points, 4 of 9 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. He's making the most of his minutes. So if the question is, should Cayenne Anthony get more minutes? My answer is yes.
I like it. I like the take. Maybe you should take Paulie's job. Great take.
Nice meeting you, Pat.
We appreciate you, Pat.
All right,
We'll
bye.
talk to you after the game. All right, there's our guy, Pat, as always. You know, the one thing I don't agree... I thought the offense was significantly better as far as moving the ball goes in the
definitely.
last game against Georgia
Definitely.
Tech. I don't agree with him on that. Now, is one game everything? Of course one game's not everything. But I do think that, again, we said trending in the right direction. We didn't say it was fixed. And I thought it was significantly better in the last game against Georgia Tech.
I think both of those things can be true, though.
Sure.
I think that it was better and trending in the right direction. And I think to say that the offense is fixed probably would be an overstatement.
Right.
Where I see where Pat is coming from is I do think when I think about keys to the game for Syracuse, I think in my head they have to push the pace. They have to keep the ball movement going. I think that a slow pace for Syracuse is the kiss of death. And in that case, what is going to happen when inevitably, of course, at some point, they're going to have to slow the pace down. So I guess I see where Pat's coming from in that sense. But I have to say that I thought against Georgia Tech, it made me feel better, not worse, about what I saw.
Yeah, there's times when they push the pace that I hate the shot selection, and sometimes that's JJ that you point to in that situation. Also Cayenne, though, at times when they're pushing the pace, and Cayenne likes to heave up some of these shots that you just kind of wish they would have taken their time with a little bit more, used a little bit more of the shot clock to find a better shot. But there's no perfect answer. Let's go back to the phone lines. We got our man Jake in Iowa on the line. Let's bring Jake onto the show. Jake, what you got for us, my man?
Hey, Gio, it's good to see you. I thought you got a new gig, so I wanted to wish you the best of luck wherever you're headed.
Thank you very much. I do, but I'm going to be here until the 21st. My last show will be the Virginia Tech game, so you're stuck with me until then.
Hey, looking forward to it. I want to kind of disagree a little bit with Pat.
Sure.
It seems like he thinks Cayenne Anthony doesn't turn the ball over. I don't know. Everybody's turning the ball over, which is a problem. And the problem is also that we have no discernible offense. There are no plays. The play is high screen and roll and go make something happen. Nate George functioned at Georgia Tech because they actually called plays. Go figure. But, yeah, we can't keep turning the ball over like this. We got to get it off to a good start like we did against Georgia Tech and not Clemson. And the substitution pattern, again, for Autry is just against Clemson, they're down 9. They come out sluggish. They get a 1-point lead, and he subs 3 guys out. Like, you go on a 9-0 run, and then you magically bring in subs. Like, I don't know, man. That drives me crazy. I understand these guys are playing scrambling on defense and get tired, but the substitution pattern just makes me bang my head against the wall. Thanks for taking my call, and good luck to you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Jake. Thanks for chiming in, as always. What do you think, Sam? I agree. I think the turnovers are a bit much. I do think, again, this last game, we saw flashes of them running more plays and moving the ball a little bit more. But what do you think?
A part of it, I actually think, is this idea of players knowing and understanding their role. To me, there's a little bit of a lack of identity. Where is everybody supposed to be on the court? What exactly is everybody's role? Not to say that if you assist the ball, you should always be an assister. And there are times where Donnie Freeman should shoot the 3 ball if he's hot. But I do think that this team would benefit, especially if they're going to play at a faster pace, from understanding their role just a little bit more. And if they do have to slow down, if they are forced to play in the half court, then to your point, I think they have to wait for good shots.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting just in general to hear people talking about Coach Autry and what, fans think his role is in all of this. I'll say one thing. I think when it comes to the dips and really, those runs where other teams are really just steamrolling Syracuse, a dip is not on Autry because he's not out there playing. I spoke with Eric Devendorf, and he said that he's about the 3 E's: energy, effort, and enthusiasm. He says that's how you avoid a dip. I think to a certain degree, Syracuse players have to take some responsibility to ensure that something like that does not happen.
Right.
You have to, have leaders out there. I think a guy like Nate George could be that guy, possibly Starling, who's going out there and saying, hey, calm down, take a breath here. Let's get back on track.
And that's another world where I think having Donnie back makes that much more of a difference, because what I had heard from guys like Tim, who are around the program a lot, Tim Leonard, obviously he's the voice of the women's basketball team, spends a lot of time over there at the Mello Center and just being around the team. He said he felt like one of the biggest vocal leaders, if not the biggest vocal leader, was actually Donnie Freeman. You don't have his presence on the court for a huge chunk of the season. Now, they did have some really nice physical defensive efforts where it took emptying the tank. It took level 5, like Red said, right? Against Houston, against Tennessee. We saw them kind of put pedal to the metal, if you will. But I do think that edge returns a little bit with Donnie Freeman. Look at the dip against Georgia Tech. Huge part of the reason Georgia Tech came back, Donnie Freeman wasn't on the floor in a good chunk of those minutes. He gets back on the floor later on in the game. You win the game by 10. I think Donnie really does make that big of an impact. I think he's that good of a player, and I think he is the vocal leader of this Syracuse basketball team. Hoping to keep the level 5 going here on Q Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse. Plenty more to unpack. Phone lines are open if you want to get in and talk. 315-437-7644, as always, the number to call. And I promise, on the other end of the break, this time we will preview the Pitt Panthers a little bit more in depth. That is if nobody calls in, though. Of course, the phone lines are yours to be had. She's Sam Croston. I'm Giovanni Heater. We're back after this on Q Sports Talk and ESPN Cuse.
This is Orange Nation.
I took a lady to...
Sweet. I'm just going to I forgot to throw this in the fridge real quick.
Yeah. No worries.
How you feeling? Good?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm great.
I'm hungry. I can't wait to eat.
I'm so hungry.
Are you actually? Yeah. I always bring food here.
Have to.
Have to.
Eat during the game?
Yeah. What's up, chat? What you got for us? Nick, bro, thanks for the shout out on Twitter. Nick was giving us the love on Twitter.
Thanks, Nick.
Bro, how are we live? Oh,
What?
Put the YouTube link. That's cool. That's cool. I didn't realize if you tweet a YouTube link, like he tweeted the link, and so like we're live on like the Twitter, like on his tweet. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
I didn't know that shows up like that. It's kind of cool. Do you have, actually I could probably find one, but next time, I didn't know until obviously it was too late, but I'll put you on the graphic. So,
Okay, thanks.
if you send me a headshot, I can do that for the next one.
How much time do we have left in the break? I'll try and find one.
30 seconds, but you don't even have to worry about it because it's like the tweet's already out. So
Right.
I just mean for next time.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Follow us on Twitter, ESPN Syracuse, ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1, 1200 AM and 1440 AM. This is the Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
Cuse basketball game day here in the 315. Giovanni Heater alongside Samantha Croston with you, getting you set and ready for the Oranges road trip against Pittsburgh. A Saturday matinee in the 412 from the Peterson Event Center in downtown Pittsburgh. First of all, Sam, have you ever made that trip? Have you been to Pittsburgh for a game yet?
I have not. I have been to Pittsburgh, but I have not seen that venue. And I have to say, really like Pittsburgh, and in a way, it almost reminds me a little bit of Syracuse. It has notes of that.
Yeah, sure. I enjoy the Peterson Event Center. I actually think it's one of the nicer arenas in the ACC, which is unique. And then, of course, football there is unbelievable because they play at Acrisure Stadium.
That stadium I have been to.
It'll always be Heinz Field. Let's be real. But they do it up. The media spread that they do at Acrisure Stadium is NFL level because it's an NFL stadium, and they feed you good.
It's actually weird that you bring that up because I remember when Ashley, sort of my partner in crime at CNY Central, Ashley Wenskowski, and I took that trip. I thought, wow, this is incredible. I thought everybody there was so nice. The media, like the way they treated them, so great. Such a great experience. 10 out of 10. Would recommend.
Yeah, it's the only stadium I've called a game in where the radio booth, kid you not, had granite countertops.
Come on.
And like very fancy, like leather desk chairs that were like this, but leather and fancy and comfortable. I was like, this is unbelievable. Even Miami didn't have all that down at Hard Rock. So shout out to Pittsburgh. I will always think it's an enjoyable place to go cover a game. That being said, bitter rivals of the Cuse, no question about it.
No doubt.
In the old Big East days. So if you're a Syracuse fan, you're not very fond of the Pitt Panthers. We'll see what kind of crowd they draw. I don't know if the students are back in Pittsburgh. Of course, they're known for the Oakland Zoo, they call it, their student section there at the Pete, but I'd be surprised if they were really rocking, because as we get into our Pittsburgh preview, this is a team that's 7-8 on the year, 0-2 in ACC play, and it's been a disappointing start to the season for Jeff Capel and company.
No doubt about it. Listen, these games are exciting, and I like them because of the history between these two teams. Pitt is Syracuse's most familiar ACC foe, third most familiar opponent overall, and today is the 129th meeting between these two teams. That's a lot of history right there, but I agree with you. Of course, this isn't the way that they wanted to start the season, and there's some good and some bad to point out. I will say, and I think this was surprising to some people, Pitt is actually a decent three-point shooting team. They have to take more, but they're not very good on the inside. They don't necessarily run offense. It is a lot of ISO ball, but just lately, there has been, I think, some more good off-ball movement. So it's ultimately for them a little bit about matchups and figuring out what they're able to do. If it is an off three-ball day for them, I think it's going to be an off day for them, period.
Yeah, I'm with you. They come in at 108 in the net ranking. Syracuse is 78th. Pittsburgh is 91st in the KenPom. Syracuse is 70th. And in the Bart Torovic metrics, Pittsburgh is 95th. Syracuse is 61st. It is a quad 2 opportunity, though, on the road at Pittsburgh for this Syracuse team. We mentioned it, Samantha, that Syracuse trying to go 3-0 in the next 3, probably win 4 of the next 5 before a quad 1 opportunity coming up against NC State on the 27th of January. This is a Syracuse team that's going to have 8 quad 1 opportunities remaining on the schedule. You could certainly turn that into more or less if teams like Miami, Virginia Tech, and Cal keep it going. But if they keep it going without chopping the legs off of your teams like Duke and Louisville and Virginia and North Carolina that are quad 1 opportunities. So obviously you're walking a little bit of a tightrope there. Somewhere around 8 quad 1 opportunities, though, will remain for Syracuse. Pittsburgh, they are 2-6 against power conference opponents so far this year. Wins over Ohio State, beat them at the buzzer for the second year in a row. They also beat Penn State a couple of weeks ago. Losses to West Virginia, UCF, Texas A&M, Villanova, Miami, and Clemson. They are 0-2 to start ACC play with those losses to Miami and Clemson, a similar foe in the Tigers for both Syracuse and Pittsburgh. But, I mean, 2-6 against power conference opponents really tells you everything you need to know.
No doubt about that. I think a part of it for this team, as far as their struggles are concerned, is their defense. They play mostly man, really only go into zone if they're getting destroyed, but they struggle to defend consistently and well, especially perimeter defense. They are at their best when they're forcing turnovers, when they're playing in transition. But honestly, you could say, the same thing about Syracuse. So I think they have to, and this is talking about Pitt, I think, would have to win the turnover margin, and they have to put an emphasis on defensive rebounds. They can't get killed on the boards, which has happened at times throughout this year, and they end up ultimately giving up a lot of second chance points. So if you're Pitt, I think those are things you should be thinking about.
Pitt's most recent loss was to Clemson, 73-68, the final score. A game that was kind of bizarre. Pittsburgh led at the half, shot 44%, while Clemson shot 53%, and that was the difference because Pittsburgh actually accumulated 10 steals in the game, forced 14 turnovers while only committing 11. Rebounds were fairly even, which was an oddity for Pittsburgh. To your point, Sam, they get out-rebounded quite significantly on a pretty game-to-game basis, but not against Clemson. Clemson won the rebounding margin 28-27 by 1 board. And Pittsburgh allowed just 4 offensive rebounds in that game against Clemson. That's in stark contrast to what they've done throughout the year. So it almost felt like really just not shooting the ball very well is what cost them against the Tigers. You look at the Miami game in the ACC opener against Miami on the 30th, 76-69 the final score. Both teams shot 45%. Pitt went 6 of 25 from beyond the arc. Miami didn't shoot it very well either, though, 4 of 22. Miami dominated, though, in the rebounds, 43-28. They had 15 offensive rebounds for 18 second chance points. Miami also went 20 of 26 from the free throw line. That was the difference, right? Those offensive rebounds, 15 offensive boards for 18 second chance points. That'll get you every time.
To your point that Clemson game was weird. 7 ties, 14 lead changes. There was a lot of back and forth there, which I think in a way is good. It was competitive. It was close until it wasn't. But I think, ultimately they're losing these games by enough of a wide margin that there is cause for concern. I think one guy who they have to lean on is DeMarco Minor. In that Clemson game, 17 points on 5 of 10 shooting, including 3 3-pointers and 3 steals. He's a big leader for this team. He's a fifth-year guy. In essence, the voice of the team, Oregon State transfer. This is a guy who is doing a little bit of everything and frankly is probably being asked to do more than he realistically should be.
Sure.
But he's up for that challenge, and I think you had to lean on a guy like that.
Yeah, I think another guy you could lean on has to be number 2 at the forward spot, Cameron Corrin. He was really impressive last year when I saw him play a couple of different times, particularly in the ACC tournament. He's their leading scorer with 13.3 points a game, also the leading rebounder with 8.3 rebounds a game. You're going to need him to be a factor on the glass if you're Pittsburgh. Second year at Pitt, also spent 2 years in the league at Florida State. And then Barry Dunning Jr., an interesting guy as well. He's big at the guard spot, Sam. 6'6" as a guard. This is his 4th school in 4 years. He averaged 15.1 points a game last year at South Alabama. He spent a year at UAB, a year at Arkansas, then South Alabama, now Pittsburgh, 4 schools in 4 years. He's averaging 12.3 points per game, 4.9 rebounds, and he's shooting it 50% from the floor, so very efficient at the guard spot for him. 6'6". That could be troublesome for Syracuse, but they have some long guards as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think Dunning Jr. is interesting, if nothing else. I mean, he's a journeyman. He started off slow this year. 3-point shooting wasn't great to start, but since December, he's been a better shooter, and he has a really high release. He's really tall, as you mentioned, so in a way, it's hard to contest his shot. I think that's something Syracuse should be on the lookout for. But when he is shooting well from 3, I feel like it is borderline unguardable. So he is a guy to be looking out for at all times, especially if he's playing an aggressive game.
Syracuse trying to take down Pittsburgh today on the road at the Peterson Event Center in downtown Pittsburgh. That, of course, is your scouting report on the Pitt Panthers. It's built by IKEA. Everything you need from IKEA is now at Destiny USA. Go check it out and dream the possibilities at your new IKEA Syracuse. We'll step aside when we come back. Plenty more to get to. We got our Krause Hospital injury report. We'll give our keys to the game, and we'll also tell you who to be on the lookout for Syracuse to step up today and play a big impact. And finally, we'll wrap up with our final score predictions as well. It's Syracuse and Pittsburgh, an old school Big East rivalry, now an ACC clash on the road today for the Cuse as they look to get above 500 in ACC play. She's Sam Croston. I'm Giovanni Heater. Back after this on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
Did you miss Drive?
I literally hit the button too early.
I know.
Ian Nicholas says hello.
Hi, Ian Nicholas.
Do you know Ian?
He was my intern. It's my boy.
Ah, okay.
You always do score predictions?
What's that? Yeah. We always wrap up the pregame with score.
Very
predictions.
cool.
Oh, you already got a clip out there. You and Pat going at it. What's up, Brian? Sam and I are both doing post game as well. Pitt has big man injuries, so I expect that to be playing. What's up, Phillies? All right. This segment will have to be like somewhat quicker, but we'll be good. We just got to be out by, I usually try and get out a couple minutes before 2 so that people have a chance to actually like turn to the other station to listen to the game.
Sure.
So yeah.
I'll follow your lead.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good. Oh, I was going to say, Phillies, this is no longer the morning. You're in Vegas. Very nice. You and Nick both out in Vegas. I know. I'm excited to even just in Texas that 1 hour extra because I really struggle. Like, I fell asleep the other night at the beginning of the fourth quarter of the Miami Ole Miss game, and it was a great game. And I fell asleep at the beginning of the fourth quarter of that Steelers-Ravens game the other night, and then I wake up and Scott Van Pelt's on my TV like, game of the year, and I'm like, I've done it again. I always fall asleep. So that extra hour is going to be really clutch because in Texas, it's, you know, the game starts at 7 here, it's at 6 there, and you got a little bit more. You know, you're going to bed, the game will end like 10:30 instead of 11:30. So it's nice. Don't have too much fun in Vegas, Phillies.
You ever been to Vegas?
I've been to Vegas twice, yeah, but not after being 21. So I haven't really like done Vegas, but I'm not much of a party guy anyway. So, have you been to Vegas?
I have been to Vegas. One of my friends from the station who used to work at CMI Central ended up moving out to Vegas for her next stop. So I figured if for no other reason than the weather is better.
Absolutely.
I'll come see. I went to see her for 4th of July. It was cool.
Very nice. Yeah, it's hot there in July. I've been there in July and August.
I almost couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And now she's like used to it. So she has her apartment is really hot. She's wearing like a sweatshirt. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
That's
it's
crazy.
like 100 to, it's like literally 100 degrees. Every day.
Oh yeah.
It's insane.
Easily.
But it's dry heat.
Yes, it is.
So I appreciate that.
Yes.
My hair looks good.
The home of the Giants. ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1, 1200 AM and 1440 AM. This is the Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
Final segment, getting you set up and ready for Syracuse and Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, the 412, the Peterson Event Center. Giovanni Heater alongside Samantha Croston with you on ESPN Syracuse and CuseSportsTalk.com. Final segment, wrapping up our thoughts on the Orange and the Panthers. An old school Big East rivalry turned ACC. And Sam, it's time for our Krause Hospital injury report, brought to you by none other than Krause Hospital. Say, take me to Krause. And it's really nothing crazy here, nothing too in-depth. The good news is we don't have to say Syracuse without Donnie Freeman anymore. The Orange will be without, though, Aaron Womack today. Not a huge loss. Doesn't play very much for Syracuse. Doesn't play at all, really, for Syracuse, actually. Pittsburgh, though, without Deshaun Jackson. He has not played yet this year, so they're not missing anything that they haven't been without. And then Papa Amadou Kanti is also out. He has not played since November 28th against Ohio State. That is just one of 2 wins against a power conference opponent for Pittsburgh this year. They're without him. They've been without him. He plays center for what it's worth. I don't think it's a massive loss. Wasn't playing more than about 14 minutes a game anyhow.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily going to be a big deal. I think when I think about this segment and the injury report, the biggest thing that sticks out to me is the fact that you said Donnie Freeman is in. All of the guys who you need to be in right now for Syracuse are in. They're healthy. There are no excuses there as far as that's concerned.
I'm with you. Let's get into our keys to the game, powered by Drivers Village. Shop at dvtrucks.com. all things Drivers Village over there. What do you think? Keys to the game, Sam. Give me your first and biggest key to the game for Syracuse to come away with a win today.
I think if they are forced to play in the half court, one key for Syracuse is that they have to wait for good shots. How about you?
Yeah, I think my biggest key to the game, and I agree with you, my biggest key to the game for Syracuse today would probably be to be dominant on the glass. I think that Pittsburgh has really struggled giving up a lot of offensive rebounds to teams this year. Syracuse has done a nice job when Donnie Freeman's in the mix at pulling down those rebounds. I think Syracuse can take advantage of that weakness for Pittsburgh and be dominant on the glass, particularly the offensive glass today. You got one more for me?
I think ball movement and body movement are absolutely critical. This is a team that performs their best on offense when they're moving, when the ball is moving, when it's fast-paced. So I understand what Pat said. I know that there still is some work that has to be done as far as, calling plays and sets and whatnot. But I think that for now, they are in a situation where they play well in transition and they play well when there is good fast ball movement. So I think that is critical for them today.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to go one more here and say that I know it sounds a little ridiculous and a little silly. Syracuse has to score a lot of points today. And I say that because Pittsburgh is second to last in the ACC in scoring offense and second to last in the ACC in scoring margin. They don't score a lot. If Syracuse just can straight outscore them and put up 82 like they did against Georgia Tech the other night, I just don't think there's a world where this Pittsburgh team can keep up offensively. So as silly as that sounds, I think Syracuse just can outscore Pittsburgh today and feel pretty comfortable doing it, especially with how suffocating Syracuse has been at times on defense. And that's a recipe for success, right? Score a lot of points and hold them to a minimum on defense. You're going to be in a good spot if you're Syracuse, and that's how this thing plays out. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. Is this when we do score predictions?
Yeah, let's do one more, and then we'll get into our score predictions real quick.
As far as a key, you were saying?
Yeah, or not even keys to the game. Let's get into our Upstate Imports starting lineups and quickly tell you who's starting today for both of these teams. I'll go with Pittsburgh, and then I'll have you take it over for Syracuse. So for the Panthers today, DeMarco Minor gets to start at the point. Amari Witherspoon plays the 2. Barry Dunning Jr. will play the 3. Cameron Corrin, look out for him. He's the leading scorer and leading rebounder on this team. He'll play the 4. And then Roman Solapea will play at the 5. Samantha, what do you got for Syracuse's starting lineup? No real changes here, though.
Yeah, nothing new here. We have J.J. Starling, Nate Kings, Nate George, Donnie Freeman, and William Kyle III. That has seemed to work for them. They are going to stick with it.
Absolutely. And that's the similar look for Syracuse. Remember, Donnie did not start against Clemson, but did start last game in place of Sadiq White. Now that he's back into the rhythm of things, did get the start, scored 27 points against Georgia Tech on Tuesday night. Time for Bringing the Meat, brought to you by Hoffman Sausage Company. Hoffman Sausage Company has called Syracuse home since 1879. They have more than just hot dogs like German Franks and Snappies. They also have amazing sausages to take you through the cold months. Jalapeno cheddar, Italian, beer bratwurst, and more. Who's bringing the meat today? What player is going to step up the most in your opinion, Sam?
Wow, that is a great one. I am going to say that it's going to be William Kyle III who makes the difference today. Coming into this week, he was leading the nation in blocks per game, tied for 3rd in the nation in total blocks. He's 2nd on the team in steals. I mean, it's just unbelievable the things that he's been able to do. And more than all of that, he's the hardest working player, I feel, on the entire Syracuse team, game in and game out. I mentioned to you earlier that Eric Devendorf said those 3 E's, energy, effort, and enthusiasm. I really believe that the best teams, and he believes this too, aren't inconsistent with the 3 E's. They have talent, but they also have those things that you just can't coach. And William Kyle III has that.
I like it. Let's get a final score prediction out of you.
You know how before I said that it would be great for them to get a double-digit win?
Yes.
I have to be honest with myself. I'm not sure whether or not that's going to happen. And since I'm really big on if you're going to do a score prediction, you have to say one thing and stick to it and commit to it. Right or wrong, I am down to take that and I will hold myself accountable. I think Syracuse is going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a bit closer than that. I'll go Syracuse 72, Pitt 69.
Okay. All right. 72-69. Wow. Maybe I'm feeling too high after Syracuse's nice win, scoring 82 points, winning by 10 points on the road against Georgia Tech on Tuesday. But Pittsburgh second to last in scoring offense in the league. They don't score a lot. Scoring margin is second to last as well, like I had mentioned. I think Syracuse blows them out. I'm going to say Syracuse wins 78-64.
Okay.
And I know that's not a huge blowout, but, that'd be a 14-point win, and I think you'd take that. I think Syracuse wins at 78-64. I don't think Pitt's going to be able to score a lot. Syracuse is a good defense, and the Orange are starting to figure things out nicely on the offensive side. That wraps things up. Come hang out with us post-game. We're going to be right back here on QSportsTalk.com, breaking it all down. For Samantha Croston, I'm Giovanni here. Thanks so much to our producer, Jordan Capozzi, behind the scenes. We'll talk to you after the game. Syracuse and Pitt. Turn the radio dial over to TK99 with Matt Park and Jim Saddlein. Enjoy the game, everybody.
Did you miss Drive Time with Tim Le?
Hey.
Perfect. Out right at